Hi there, this is Lou, I'm John, and today we're just going to talk a bit about Share.
Yeah.
Share is a tool that we put together to start and look at drinking and sort of give you a different perspective of actually looking at the drinking behaviour and what it is about the drinking that sort of, is really upsets you.
You talk about the dance, don't you? That you're drinking. Oh yes, you are. No, I'm not.
Yeah, it's a sort of pantomime
Yeah.
goes on, you drink too much. Yeah, oh yes, you are. Oh no, I don't. And then it goes back and forward and you don't really get anywhere. Because every drunk or every drinker knows somebody who drinks a lot more than they do, drinks a lot more often than they do, and drinks with worse consequences than they drink. And they can always point to them, George down the road or Jeannie up there, or they're always there. So rather than talk about the drinking, we thought, okay, well let's unpack it in a different way and look at maybe the consequences of the drinking and see how that and that it is a useful tool, and we'll talk a wee bit about how you can use it at the end here.
Yeah, there are two things to be aware of, I think, as you approach Share.
Yeah.
The first is to just watch your anger levels. This is not a blame tool. This is not, and another thing, and you arrive with 5 different reasons why you can blame. So avoid that. We never ever saw that as just you having more bullets to fire. No. In fact, that will completely shoot the whole thing in the foot. Mm-hmm. So that's really, really important. This is a discussion, and the whole point we're looking at consequences is it gives a little bit of detachment for you to say, when you do this, this is happening over here in our world.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing. The other thing I would say is be aware it will be a trigger. Now, I've got children who've got ADHD, and you can get help for that in our government in the UK. But you had to fill in forms when they were younger, and you got the money by really saying how bad it was. So by the time you finished the form, I was deeply depressed. But I was aware that we were over focusing on it, and actually the good result of that was that we got some help, with their learning difficulties and stuff. So you will feel because you're over focusing on it. You might be good to arrange a cup of tea with a friend or something like that, because you do see it in stark reality. So be aware of that. But we're looking at it so that we can help the situation. So those are the two kind of things that you sometimes kind of get you off in the wrong direction, I think. So that's the kind of that's your warning, really. Do you want to say anything of that before you actually talk about Share?
Yeah, I mean, the way we take you through Share, hopefully can avoid some of that.
Yeah.
And also the fact that you can use Share in a very positive way, and about setting boundaries and sort of trying to change the behaviour. Share is a tool for empowerment. It's not a tool to tell you how bad you are, It's not a tool to dig yourself deeper and deeper into depression.
And it's one of our, it's the intervention tool, isn't it, in some ways?
Yeah, it is an intervention tool, But what we will say about Share is that please do the beginning of the programme before you start into Share.
Yeah.
Because what we want you to do is look after yourself to begin with, and do this from a position of strength, a position of empowerment, rather than, in the midst of your weakness.
Yes.
Because at the beginning you will be feeling as if, there's nothing you can do about this, and that's not the time to start into Share.
No, and that's really, really important. One of the reasons you'll have arrived at the website is if you've done what you think is good intervention after good intervention after good intervention that might appear to work for a while, etc., etc., etc. So what we want you to do is to understand what doesn't work and actually get energy for yourself before you do yet another intervention that will backfire. We don't want that for you, really, do we?
Yeah.
Okay, so Share stands for safety.
Safety.
Health.
Yep.
Ambition.
Relationship. And environment.
Yes, he applies this a lot more than he. John does. By the way, it'd be good to talk about this here. John, I've got private practice as a counsellor, and I kind of deal with all sorts of issues. John is a drink counsellor and works with partners and drinkers themselves.
Yeah.
Got quite a thriving practice, so check out about that. There's information about that on the website.
Yeah, if you want to come and talk through some of the nuts and bolts of this, or or any aspect of your life, whether it be you're drinking or your partner's drinking, or then I'm more than happy to sit and go through it with you. Not a problem.
Yeah.
Okay, so share. What as I say, originally we started this tool for the very reason that we stated earlier on. To avoid this pantomime. And if you focus purely and simply on the drink, then it's always very difficult, because the drinker becomes very defensive when it comes to the drinking. You drink too much. Oh no, you don't. Oh no, I don't. And that happens in just about every walk of life. You're fat. No, I'm not. You're stupid. No, I'm not. And there is this defensiveness comes up when you accuse somebody of anything. What share does is kind of unfocuses on the drink and then looks more at the consequences. So we broke it down into 5 areas. The first area is safety. Now, for some people, they say, well, my drinker's very benign, it's not a problem, and that might be the case. My drinker is never violent or aggressive or that, and if that's the case, good, we're glad to hear it. But they might drink and drive, they might cook and drink, there are so many other aspects to safety. For example, I was a drinker and I smoked in bed.
Yeah, my drinker.
Recipe for disaster.
Yeah. Also, obviously, the first thing about safety is the basic rules of safety.
Yep.
If you are coming under any violence, with sexual violence, you and your children, any physical violence, then obviously, to keep yourself safe, you need to remove yourself from the environment. That's the first thing to say.
We do not sort of have any absolutes and bottled up at all, except for that one. Keep yourself safe.
Yeah.
If your drinker is violent, remove yourself.
Yeah. Now, obviously, if you go to the tool, you'll find that we go into this. A bit more.
There's a workbook with this, and there's a whole section on things that you might want to think about. Under each heading. Health is another important
It's
aspect.
an obvious one, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, it is. Now, the drinker's health, you might be thinking about that one, and there is truth in that. But there's also your own health. If you're the partner, there's your own health to think about, your kids' health to think about, because addiction is a problem that the whole family shares in, whether they want to or they don't want to. What you find is that the health of the family suffers. You're looking at depression, anxiety, psychosomatic illnesses. So again,
Mm.
have a look at that.
Yeah. Then A is ambition.
Ambition.
And this is the dreams that are being squashed.
Yeah.
Your own ability to maybe do hobbies, to do studies, to all of these things. That our ambitions do get crushed. That's a really painful one, actually, because we come in.
It is a very painful one, and it's one that very few people talk about. You know, is this the way you saw your life turning out? Yeah. Is this, when you are planning your wedding or you were getting together with this special person? Is this the shared dream that you had?
And the ambition you wanted for a happy family, to go out and do stuff together, enjoy hanging out, all of these things that absolutely not. So, looking at that and again, using that to explain some of the loss that's going on for you rather than the blame that's going on in him. That's the kind of the approach really through all of this, isn't it? So SHAR.
Ooh, she can spell as well.
Yes.
Shar. So R is about relationships, and that's an obvious one, very obvious one, except you tend to think about just the relationship between the drinker and their partner or the drinker and their family. but it's much wider than that.
Yeah.
You know, if you're living with a drinker, then what you find is that your social life actually starts to shrink.
It does.
You know, people, you don't get the invites that you used to get. You don't invite people because you don't know what this drinker is going to be like. You know, if people come round, so you don't have the social life that you used to have. The obvious a relationship that suffers is the relationship between yourself and the drinker. You know, and that is very difficult. That's a very difficult one. You feel as if you can't do anything right. You know, if you mention about the drinking, then you're nagging. You know, and if you don't mention about the drinking, then it continues. You know, and you feel as if, you know, damned if you do, damned if you don't. So it's a difficult one. And the last one is about environment. It's about, you know, the house, the atmosphere. It's about, you know, the fabric of the building. It's about, you know, again, is this the way you're wanting to live? Is this the way you know? And that might also bring in another E, which is economics. You know, are you living on the breadline, whereas in actual fact you've got lots of money coming into the house, but it's going straight back out to the pub or to the off-license sales, or, you know, to the supermarket for the wine, etc. You know, and again, this is something that you can start to look at. But what Share does is not just a whole litany of things that are going wrong. You know, it's about trying to put some boundaries down about, you know, when you have somebody who doesn't want to change their drinking, you can at least change the consequences of their drinking. You can change some of the aspects around about their drinking, you know, by looking at what are the things from this list that are most important to you. So you go through this list again and you score this list. You know, one is, well, you know, yeah, it's a nuisance, but it's not that. You know, it's fairly trivial. To 10, this is desperate. You know, this is really, really bad. And if you go through it and do that, then you find the things that are the most important. You can't tackle all of these things at the same time, you know, but you can tackle some of them.
Yeah.
And you tackle the ones that are most important. And therefore you kind of, you know, you decide which ones you are going to approach. You know, which ones are you actually going to start and talk about and lay down some boundaries, you know.
So it's a clarification, but it's also a validation, because we get stuck in a lot of really kind of feelings, and we are constantly being told by a drinker that we're making a fuss about nothing. That's one of the most painful things I think about living with a drinker, is the minimization all the time of the impact. And so as you go through it, I think the validation is of, well, no wonder. You know, I find this really difficult, you know. So it is a validation for you to think, well, there we go. This is why I find life so very, very difficult. And for some of you, it might be just the end, a clarification that, you know, no, I've lost too much. And I think we always want to say that one of the reasons we did this website is there tended to be a bit of, you know, you go to someone, no, you shouldn't put up with that, particularly nowadays when there's so much kind of emphasis on our lives, you know, and leave. That kind of tended to be the solution, you know. And a lot of people didn't want to leave because they loved their drinker and they wanted to see if they could work on their marriage. And we do a lot of that here. But we want to be really, really clear. If this website helps you to have courage and empowerment to lead, we absolutely will back you in that as well. We want what's best for you, for your family and your situation.
The other thing, of course, is if you've tried this, then, you know, and it's not working for you, then if you do leave, then you can turn around and say, well, my conscience is clear.
Yes.
I did what I could.
Yes.
Nothing happened.
Yes.
I'll go. Yeah.
Absolutely, and I say that to people that come to me for.
We are not. I mean, we started this to give people an alternative to, you know, just, you know, because the only advice that seemed to be around was leave or chuck him, her out. You know, that seemed to be it. And we thought, well, we need some kind of alternative because people love their drinker and therefore, you know, they want to look for a way to staying with them, which is why the title of our book, when we wrote it, was the subtitle was How to Survive Living with a Problem Drinker. However, what we don't say is thou must stay with the drinker.
Absolutely
That's not what we're saying, you know. I'm saying that if you want to, then here are possible solutions about how you can. But, you know, if it's not working, don't flog a dead horse.
Yeah, absolutely. So, so either way, it either gives you empowerment, and I have to say, as a counsellor, I know that if you stay and try to make your marriage work and try and get to a point where this is better, you are putting up with stuff that on paper you shouldn't put up with. We really, really get that. You know, and we're not endorsing you putting up with all of this crap.
Yeah.
But in this situation, there is crap around, and to find our way through it, we have to put up with stuff.
This is not a website to train martyrs.
No.
You know, it's not,
No,
you know.
absolutely. Yeah.
Quite the reverse.
Yeah.
Quite the reverse. It's to give you choices and to empower you.
Yeah.
That's what the website's about, pure and simple.
Absolutely. So there we go. It's probably a little bit longer than we try to do them, but it's quite a lot of content. So thank you for listening.
Yeah.
And again, come back. We love you listening to us. We love talking to you, and we hope you found it helpful.
The last thing I'll say is, if you're not a member of the website, then join it. It's free, because all of this stuff is inside the website. You know, and what we have just discussed about Share is only a drop in the ocean compared to the stuff that's all in there about Share.
Yeah.
About how to do, go through the inventory, how to market, and how to use it, how to set the boundaries. It's all in there.
Yeah, so there's tools, lots of tools, and we take you on a journey. We try to keep it fairly brief. You wouldn't think so listening to this video, but we do, because we know that you're tired and there's a lot going on, you know, so we make it as easy as possible.
Okay.
And yes, come and join us. We'd love to have you.
Yeah.
And thanks for listening.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.